Let me start with my contribution first by sincere thanks for invitation for Mr. Kardevan, his collaborators, but also your minister. I am very happy when I can come to Hungary. I have some personal relations and feelings about Hungary, and this is a great occasion. I have to speak about my European responsibility and about the future, but before I start, I would like to congratulate sincerely to your service. 125 years, it's a long period of great service, and I have to say that Hungary is known to be at a very high level of the food safety, and that should be recognized, not only at home, but also in the European space and globally. So I think there is an opportunity today, and I would like to congratulate, and I'm looking forward for the future collaboration. When I am asked by my colleagues what I'm responsible for in Europe, I usually say a sentence: if you want to list 10 most difficult, most complex, and most complicated issues of the all regulation, I'm quite sure that from these 10, something like 5 to 7 will be from my or our area. And I see you agree. It's very complex, it's very difficult, and it is directly going to every single person living in Europe. We are speaking about the safety, health, our food. So certainly there is a very high responsibility, and that's what should be a leading principle for the future. We have heard the approaches of the individual here present national approaches, but we all know that this is the area which is highly regulated at the European level and has a long history. What I still want to remind is that in your history there were many people which influenced broadly the European development. I have few names only. I have no time to name all of them, and I also take into account that I am the last obstacle between you and your lunch. But nevertheless, I have to mention names like Marek and Aujewski for the diseases which bear their names, or St. Georgi, who came with the vitamin C and the importance for the nutrition. What is also remarkable is that, first of all, you had very old and efficient service, but you also created your food safety authority already at the same year when the EFSA was created, which means in 2003. As you know, the European rules cover the entire food chain, and they are built upon some principles which are very crucial, like separation of risk management from risk assessment, science-based decisions, operators' responsibility for compliance with legal requirements, and proportionality. Of course, all this is also recognized. I have seen, unfortunately, still my Hungarian is not that good, but I have seen your new strategy. And it is all there, which I want to congratulate to all who worked on that, because it's very, very important. By the way, when I was hearing about your history, I was looking on the logo here. This is only my presentation. I don't have the PowerPoint. But this says everything. Look on that. Huh? This is a kind of antical satyrus with body of horse and body of man, saying there is only one health concept. There is only one health for humans and for animals. It bears, you know, the Esculap stick. What does it say? It says there is a rule of science and service in this area. And it has a shield with a paragraph which says we need regulation to protect ourselves and our citizens. I think it's a great thing. Huh? It shows basically all. So I do believe we will be able to work in this way for the future as well. Now, our analysis shows that the general approach we have altogether is working well, but everyone would agree it needs to be modernized. It should take also into account the newest developments. So let me to mention 3 areas where I think the adaptation and modernization is necessary. The first one is related to what we call today fashionably as limited resources. It's less money and less people in normal language. What does it mean? We have to reflect that. And basically, at the European level at least, it means we have to focus on major risks and new challenges rather than on classical everything. There is, of course, importance of all other things which are addressed at the national level, but the European level has to look on the big thing and on the new thing, because this is necessary in order to coordinate properly. There are some new challenges which have been already, at least partly, incorporated in our new proposal. You know the famous package about the animal, plant health, and the other rules. We have also some other, let's say, more technical new challenges, very broadly discussed, and I can see even within this constituency there will be different views about the revision of the meat inspection rules, about the issues how to look on the new bacterial risks which were not prominently addressed in historical legislation compared to the traditional approach. It is the issue of integrated approach at the border controls together with phytosanitary part. And there are many other phytosanitary issues. I will skip them. I have it here because the name of the conference is about the food chain, so it's not only meat. But that would be too long if I have to address everything. It is also very important, and we see it clearly, that it must be sufficient financing, sufficient resources available at national level to support the services which are looking on the food chain. And we came with a concept which is in the regulation of food controls, which should ensure that independently on the organization within the member states. Again, it is an approach which is not immediately welcomed by everyone. But think about that. If you secure the permanent flow of the money, there is a security for permanent flow of services. Otherwise, you have to fight every year with finance minister to get appropriate money. You know that situation, I know. I have been in the same situation in Czech Republic. The second area is the issue related to consumers and issues related to transparency and compliance with international standards. Our legislation, it seems to be almost unbelievable, but European legislation has grown over about 50 years. Imagine, I would not even say that it's so long. But transparency and consistency certainly can be improved also by growing the European Union. We are now 28. We need to promote and protect our exports to our major trade partners, like United States, like Russia, like China. I am enjoying the negotiations with US and Russian Federation, and I can tell you it's a tough business. And if you are not transparent enough, if you are not able to show what we are really doing in Europe, you can forget. It's not like it was maybe 20 years ago. Without very clear evidence of your great work, we will be less and less able to export our products, and we will be losing the markets. So transparency is an issue of all interest of all member states. Obviously, we also want to protect, let's say, our system from disadvantages. We have very demanding legal system. If this is not the case in other countries, it is a certain disadvantage for our businesses. So we need to try, and we do, is to get it into international standards. You know very well that the European approaches are quite driving the discussion in OIE or IPPC or Codex Alimentarius. Our norms are accepted broadly in the world as the best ones, but not always in full size accepted at international level. And to make this disbalance as little as possible, we have focused our work also on the international agenda. The third area is response to new trends in society, consumer expectations, and maintenance of the consumer confidence in the safety of the food chain. You can build something 50 years, and then one simple problem, like a horse meat, destroys, ruins everything, which is unfair, in fact. A lot of good thing was done, but we still have this problem. So we have to try together to allow all consumers to be well informed. Food information rules, health claims, the issues which are highly controversial, very difficult. There are demands which are controversial from business and from society, but somehow we have to rule it. We have to have a system which is broadly understood and everyone can read it. I always ask my people when they write the legislation if they are sure that my grandmother would understand what they write. And it's not always the simple answer to that, but this is what we need for consumers. The issue of the food fraud was mentioned already, and I have to say that this time the collaboration of European level and the national authorities was excellent. We actually were collaborating very fast, very efficiently, and we addressed the issue within incredible time. In the European system, when we speak about whatever good idea, I made a mapping in my work, I am there already since 2005. Every good idea in Europe, from the moment when it starts to the moment when it is realized, is at least 2 years or more. In this particular case, we were able to work in the order of days and weeks. Thanks God, I have to say. But it was a good example. But it also showed we have still gaps in the system and we have to develop it further. So we, first of all, proposed the amendment of the legislation. In new 882, you have provisions for strengthening of the sanctions, which should be at least as big as the benefit from fraudulent activity, otherwise they don't work, obviously. We also foresee the further development of the information exchange, probably as a separate module of RASF, because some information will be nominal information, which is very difficult to pass from one country to another, not even that, from one service to another. Probably you know that. If you want to know something about the bad guys from the customs service or from the police, they will not give you the name. They have rules, they cannot do it. We have to find a way how to be able to collaborate closely on those who are abusing our system. We also started to collaborate with Europol and other services to coordinate member states' efforts, and we created the fraud team within DG Sanco, where you are invited and you are collaborating. I wanted to thank for it, sorry. Then we have other issues which are coming as a new and very highly controversial. GM cultivation, to speak about something what is certainly, I don't know any person who would say, I have no view. The people either like it or dislike it, and it's like that. The society is split. We have a proposal which can address that. We are waiting already 3 years. If the blocking minority of the big member states will be willing to take a responsibility on their shoulders as well and support the proposal, which would allow every single member state to decide if in the particular regions or in the whole member state they want or don't want to cultivate GMs. Because when we speak about the science-based decision-making, science doesn't say that it is anything wrong in GMs. But there are people which have ethical problems. There are people which simply don't like it. There are people which have religious problems with that. And that should be recognized as well. And that's why we propose this cultivation proposal. And we are not very happy that some member states don't like to support that. And obviously, we have also raising consumers' expectations regarding food composition and animal welfare. Very difficult area again, very strong push, sometimes very emotional. You have to address it, you have to recognize the needs of the people, but you also have to stay with your feet on the earth and to be realistic. You need to have a system which will allow the production of the food which everyone needs, which will not make it unnecessarily expensive, because everyone wants not only good food, but also cheap food. So not easy to solve. But I think we are proceeding, maybe in some areas slowly, but still proceeding. We are working on the study on origin labeling of meat as an ingredient, on animal welfare labeling, and we are also proposing some amendments to the legal framework. Now, few general words about the process of the modernization. It is ongoing. We have several, you will call it bureaucratic ways to address the issues, but I can tell you that in the European system it is very important that on the one side, what we agreed together, whatever compromises it may be in some legislations, there is no other way than to insist on the full implementation of existing legal framework. Otherwise, you will get into chaos. That's impossible. But at the same time, it must be possibility to amend if something shows to be not very practical, not very well working. We have to have mechanisms which will allow to simplify the system and make it easier applicable. As I said, several parts of this experience are already in the new proposal of the food chain package, but we have still some new things to come. For example, the legal acts amendments in food hygiene rules, the issues related to novel food and cloning, another interesting area for discussion, and the framework for medicated feed and for veterinary medicines. All these we are working on and we are proposing very soon. In general terms, we started to do what is called in our PTDP in Brussels fitness check, which is looking not only on individual rules, but in the whole system, how it really works compared to the reality. Where are the problems? Where the laws are overlapping or demanding things which are not very logical together. Where we can probably forget about what we regulated 40 years ago and where we need a new element, where we can simplify. The first phase of this work is done. Now we are going into second phase, which is called, everything has in Brussels his acronym, I'm sorry for that. Now it is called REFIT, which is regulatory fitness, but this is not important. The important is the fact that we are now going to address the results of the analysis we made, and we will start with the several aspects of the general food law. So the discussion on general food law is to come about where it needs a modernization, where the things which are there are unnecessary burdens, and where eventually we need to add something to the system. At the same time, I'm asking myself, what is the future of our work? Is it actually that we have a way, we go a certain way? Should we just go this way, or should we think that something also may be different in 20, 30, 50 years? It will be a problem with water, it will be a problem with fertilizers, it will be a problem with pollution, it will be a problem with the price of energy. All this will somehow influence also food safety. People very often discuss about the food security, which means, will we have enough of the food in 50 years? I ask question number 2, same important. Even if we will have enough in the amount, will it be same safe as we want? And I didn't find many answers to these questions. There are not foresight thoughts about the safety in 40, 50 years. So we started a study in my department, and we want to develop it still next year in order to be able not to answer the questions, but to find the proper questions. And then with a much bigger budget to go to our new and stronger science support within Horizon 2020 to have a big study which will try to find answers for the future. And I very much hope that it is, first of all, of your interest, and second, we can count with your support. So to conclude, ensuring food safety was, and will remain a major challenge in years to come. And we need to collaborate very closely, Commission and Member States. We should be very transparent about what we are doing, each other's side. And I believe that we are able to build a system which will be resilient to the challenges of future. Once more, thanks for your great work. Congratulations, and I'm looking forward for the future collaboration with all of you. Thank you.